guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It is Friday, TGIF. We have made it to the weekend. While you're here, go ahead and share girl some love by liking the video and hitting subscribe if you are feeling the vibe. Also, hype your girl up with the new hype feature next to the comments button below on YouTube. So go ahead and hype your girl up as well. Now, if you're looking for remote work, or someone looking for remote work, I post remote work weekly on my personal channel. And on Fridays, I do non-incoming call-based positions, so non-call center type positions on my personal channel. There are 2 long-term positions that are hired and 1 temporary. We know things going on in the government right now. Christmas around the corner. So if you need also like a temporary option, that is there as well, just to stack up some money real quick. All of that's on my personal channel plus vlogs. I'm thinking about doing like a little vlogmas for Christmas, maybe Christmas Eve and Christmas. So all of that kind of stuff is on my personal channel. So I will link that in the comments below. Okay. Now today's video is going to be from our good old girl, Rosie. I've shared her on my channel before. She is from overseas. When I share her content, I usually just do 1 video because her story times are pretty long and detailed, which of course I love. And it's a story about how a man, who was married had such like jealous, like he had such jealous spirit, and, he was envious of his wife, and he went to a warlock to have work done to take his wife out, if you know what I mean. So consequences, of course, came from that, and the outcome didn't come out how he thought it was going to come out. And I feel like this is an important conversation that we have. As you know, my #1 goal on my channel is it's really to help people from other people's experiences, but a specialty on spiritual health, spiritual awareness, spiritual alignment. That is always my #1 goal, because once you are there, that will start to manifest in other areas of your life. It all starts spiritually. Okay. So that's my goal. That's Rosie's goal. That she's already aware of my channel. She knows I share her content. We both have the same goal of spiritual awareness. She's more of a religious person, which that's fine. I respect. I'm a spiritual person. So with that being said, I do not allow spiritual/religious condemning on my channel. So please do not do that towards other people. Please do not spiritually bully anybody or harass anybody. You're free to comment what you want based off of your own beliefs, but please do not talk down to anybody else. Please do not talk down to the content creators. For those who be like, oh, I don't believe in that story. Well, you weren't there when the story was being told. You don't know whether it's true or not. So please don't discredit the content creators, because that's very disrespectful. We are using their content to learn and grow from it. Okay. So with that being said, oh, and also my last audio was a little off. Anytime my audio is off, you can feel free to let me know, like, hey, can you make it louder? Can you make it lower? I'm trying to make it balanced for everybody, because some people say it's too loud, some people say it's too low. So I've been trying to keep it in the middle. So some people might just not work very well for it, and I'm sorry for that, but I'm trying to keep it in the middle so it don't be too loud or too low, because I've heard both before. Okay. But without further ado, let's go ahead and watch the story time. We'll be back at the end for commentary. Also, y'all, her video is a little low because I believe she said her family is sleeping in the background. So this is the loudest that her video goes. If you need it to be louder, just turn your device up, because it is the loudest that I can put it. Just want to put that out there.
Hi TikTok, it's your girl Rosie. I am back with another story time. As y'all know, my platform is a platform where I tell you guys stories about witchcraft, tell you guys about the consequences that come with it, but I also highlight the mercy, the grace, and the love of God. So I am whispering because we're on vacation and it's pretty late. Everybody's asleep, my husband and my child and my dog, and I'm in the restroom because I have to tell you guys this juicy story. And this story is an eye-opener. This story is going to remind you guys that it is so important for you to have a relationship with God, #1. #2, you need to be aware that even the closest people to you are most likely going to be the ones to hurt you. We're talking about your loved ones, your husband, your wife, especially if they don't have a relationship with God, if they don't have any morals, any ethics, anything is a go with them. So get ready. So as we're driving to our location where we're going to be at, I was on the phone with my mom and she told me this story. I'm going to switch up some stuff as far as okay, so because the story that was told to me, I have a couple of my friends that are on TikTok, and they might know this particular person's mother, the one her mother and my mother are like best friends, and the kids, we have mutual friends. So I'm going to, not to try to make it as similar, but I'm going to try to get to the point. So we're going to call the mother Laura. Laura and my mom are like best friends. And I remember growing up and she'd always come over and her kids would always come over. She has, maybe I shouldn't say that. She has 3 kids. I'm not even going to say the genders. 3 kids, and really good woman. True definition of a hustler. We're talking about, like, she owned a store, and the store she owned, she sold everything, but mostly like clothes. And when I tell you this lady hustled, she put her kids through private schools. Her kids went to the same schools we did. Her kids are in the US currently, like, all because of her. Mind you, she's married. We're gonna call her husband Andrew. So Laura's the wife, Andrew's the husband. Mind you, again, we're family friends. Matter of fact, Laura and my mom are dang near best friends. And so my mom was telling me how Laura's husband did her, and yo, it was crazy. So because of Andrew's ego, he didn't like the fact that his wife was the breadwinner. She was the one that, like, she was like one of the best businesswomen. So like I mentioned, the mother is like a well-known businesswoman in my country. And so back home, because the country is so small, it is so easy to run into like the president at like major events. For example, I went to a private school that was owned by the president's wife. So when we'd have like talent shows, the president would be there and stuff like that. So politicians and the president would host events for like businessmen and businesswomen, and Laura would always be on the list. And I remember growing up, my dad would be on the list. I mean, my parents and Laura and her husband were really good friends. Anyways, and people would always like shout out. They would always tell Laura how proud they are of her because she grew up poor and made it big, basically. And the husband, because of his ego being bruised, he hated it. Hated the fact that he's being taken care of by a woman. So what does he do? He decides to cross the border and he goes to a shrine and he goes to see a warlock. And he tells the warlock his problem and he says, I need a potion that's basically gonna my wife. So the warlock gives him that potion. Again, I don't ever ask details when it comes to what is in it because I don't care. And I'm a Christian, and because I just know that TikTok has a few crazy people that like to know details like that so they can go and try it. No, we're not doing that. But anyway, so he comes back home. When he comes back home, he tells the house helper, the cook, he tells the cook, he was like, you know, my wife has stomach problems. And he's like, and you know, she's really hard-headed when it comes to taking medicine. She won't do it. So I need you to put this on her plate, in her food. The house helper is kind of looking at him sideways, like, why not just do it in front of her, you know? But he insists on her not knowing because she won't take it and it's supposed to benefit her. So the house helper is like, all right, cool, I'll do it. When he leaves, he goes back to the living room. The house helper grabs that potion. She throws it in the trash can and she brings the food for them to eat. A couple days later, she's still fine. Husband comes back downstairs, going off on the house helper. What happened? Did you put it in her food? The house helper is like, yes, I did, which she didn't, thank God. She's like, yes, I did. I don't understand why, why it's such a big deal, if it's, not working now, give it some time if it's supposed to help her stomach. So the husband's like, whatever, in a bad mood. He tells the house helper, for dinner, before you hand out our food, come to me. I'll come to the kitchen and I'll put it in the food myself. But Lauren is a powerful, prayerful woman of God. Like I mentioned, Laura prays. So when the house helper brought the food upstairs, her hand is shaking because she knows that something isn't right. Anyways, the minute The house helper puts the food on the table. The husband comes around to have his dinner as well. At this point, the kids are already overseas, so it's just the husband and the wife. And so the wife starts praying over the food. And when she prays over the food, the minute she grabs that plate, the bowl, the food, like the plate falls and breaks. And at that moment, the house helper was standing, kind of like just looking at them, staring at them. And when she saw that happen, the house helper ran, like left the house. When she ran like that, like just left the house, my mom's friend Laura was like, "What's going on?" She's trying to call her, text her, nothing. A couple of days later, the house helper gets in contact with Laura. She calls her and is like, "Hey, I really need to talk to you. I need to meet you at a certain location, but don't tell your husband anything." At this point, Laura is freaking out, thinking that maybe they did something, or like, why would she just leave like that? Anyway, so Laura meets her at that location, and that's when the house helper tells her, he's like, "Look," he's like, tells her, "Your husband, this is the second time he's put something in your food, tried to put something in your food." He said, "The first time I threw it in the trash can just because I thought something was weird. He kept saying how it's to help your stomach. But if that's the case, why not do it in front of you?" The second time was when the bowl fell. And the house helper was like, "And I know that you are a powerful, prayerful woman of God. That was a sign from God. And that alone, it just blew my mind." And she says, "I just need to tell you this, and you need to be very careful of your husband." So Laura, being very old school and looking at this man like, this is the only man I've ever been with. We have kids together. She's like, "I gotta confront him." So she goes home, she confronts her husband, and her husband denies it. He's like, "Why would I do that? She's lying. She's jealous of the relationship we have. She's jealous of what we have, yada, 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 yada." Oh, and mind you, at this point, they're building a house in like one of like the best area codes in my country. Big, beautiful house, beautiful big house. And who paid for it all alone? The wife paid for it by herself, not a dime from the husband. Anyways, husband denies it. He's like, "I would never do that. I would never do that to you." And so the wife, she's kind of torn in between the two. And so she's like, "You know what? I'm just gonna..." So the wife decides that she's going to go on a fast and pray and find out what's really going on. Because a big part of her is like, my husband would never do that. He would never take me away from my kids. But at the same time, she knows that her husband has some sort of resentment towards her because of her accomplishments, basically. So she goes on a prayer and fasting. And while she's doing that, a couple of days later, the husband crosses the border and goes back to that warlock. And the excuse he uses is because he has family, in the country that he's going to see the warlock. He was telling his wife, "I'm gonna go see whatever, let's say my cousin," and he would go there and he would see the warlock and then swing by his cousins and use that as an excuse, basically. Anyway, so what ends up happening is he goes to the warlock, and the minute he steps foot in the shrine, the warlock stands up yelling at him, telling him, "You gotta go, you can't come back in here." And he's like, "Why? And the warlock is like, "Look, whatever happened, whatever I gave you, I'm guessing it didn't work." He said, "Because your wife, I don't know if she's a witch herself, because she did a back to sender, when in reality she didn't do back to sender. All she did was pray." So basically, he thought that she sent something back to him, but basically he got his butt whooped. Like, he said that night when she was fasting and praying, that he became demonically attacked. Like, he said that something came in his shrine and beat him up. So he's telling the husband, "I don't want to deal with you." And the husband's like, "My money's good, yada, yada, yada. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe it's somebody else, but it's not my wife." And the warlock is like, "No, it's your wife," because the spirit that came in was basically saying, "Don't mess," and gave the wife's name, basically. So the husband tells the warlock, I will give you double. I'll give you double what I gave you last time. And because witches and warlocks, especially in Africa, are very money hungry, he's like, all right, cool. So he tells her, this is the first and last, the last time I'm gonna do this for you. He tells her, since the food thing didn't work, because the husband explains to him what happened. And he's like, all right, we gotta do something stronger. And he said, and this time, we're not gonna put it in the food. This time you're gonna put it under her pillow. The husband's like, all right, cool. The husband takes it back home. When he gets home, his wife was planning a trip to go out of the country for a couple days. And when she gets back, he figured that he was gonna take that time as well to go across the border, spend time with his family. He was gonna come back a day. Basically, when she leaves the airport, he was going to put it under her pillow. He was going to go spend time with his family. And then when she comes home and goes to bed, he was going to come the day after, so it doesn't look like he did something to her, like it's suspicious, basically. Well, guess what? He did exactly that. The wife went out of the country. He put it under the pillow. The wife was there for a couple of days. I think my mom said 4 or 5 days. My mom said that while she was gone out the country, everybody, like the churchgoers, they were in prayer for her, because she knew that there was a spiritual warfare going on around her. So the husband is in a different country, across the borders, to go spend time with his family. And I think the 3rd day, while she's in the other country, the house catches on fire. This is a beautiful mansion house, catches on fire. And they call her, and she's out of the country, and they're like, yo, we're calling to let you know that your house caught on fire. And she's like, what? They're like, yeah. So she comes back home. When she comes back home, her house is in ashes, from the roof to the ceiling, burnt, everything. When I tell you, when you have a relationship with God, the things work, how far God will go to protect you is amazing. The wife is very frustrated, not knowing that this was her protection. She's like very frustrated that her house burned down. She's talking to people, asking like, what happened? Like, was it this? Was it that? And everything, like, I guess like the firefighters, everything they're saying, they're like, we don't understand what happened. Because when she left and her husband left, the house helpers that usually lived in that house, she gave them vacation as well. So there was no one in that house to start a fire. The house was perfectly fine, but it just caught on fire. Wife is very frustrated. She decides to rent her house. And when her husband finds out about the fire situation, he's mad. They're both sitting around mad. But the husband's mad because he wasn't able to take his wife out. But the wife is mad because that's the money she's put into this house alone. So they rent a house out, and while they're renting the house out, the husband is frustrated because everything he's tried to do to her is not working, and he's starting to put his hands on her, basically. And it's gone so bad that she was telling my mom was telling me that at this point, when they were around each other, my mom always knew. She would cover up her eyes with makeup, and my mom was there to support her. My mom was always trying to tell her, you always have a bed, a room in my house, it's not worth it. Go, if you feel. My mom knew, but because she loved her husband, but the wife being very old school, she would always lie for him, protect him, make excuses for him. But one thing she never stopped doing was praying. And so what ends up happening is her husband is becoming very possessive, very controlling, to where he would send like cab drivers, moto is like motorcycle drivers, to like basically keep an eye out on her wherever she would go. I kind of want to skip this part, because if I say this part thing out, then people are definitely gonna know what I'm talking about. Should I say this part? I have to. I gotta tell you guys this part. Anyway, so he's like sending people to like basically spy on her. She goes to church one day, and when she comes back from church, somebody calls her husband, tells her husband, hey, she's at church. And the husband's like, all right, keep an eye out on her. She gets out of church. There is like one of like the evangelists I guess you'd say a pastor as well, who didn't have a ride, so she decides to give him a ride. When she decides to give him a ride, one of the cab drivers calls her husband and says, hey, your wife just picked up some guy and they're going back to his place. So the wife drops him off, and as they're talking in the car, the husband pops up, and the husband starts beating up. Maybe I shouldn't have said that word. I don't know. TikTok's weird. Started doing what he does to the pastor, telling his wife, you're cheating on me. You're cheating on me. Laura's like, what are you doing? This is a pastor. Like, he's married, basically. He still wouldn't stop. Anyways, they go back home, and this time he literally beats I don't know if I can say that word. My mom's friend so bad to where she was about to. And so what ended up happening is a couple days later, my friend's mom goes to church. My mom sees her. My mom is like hugging her, loving on her, telling her, please, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And while all this is going on, the husband is across the border again, looking for a different shrine, a different witch or warlock. He comes across another witch, because remember that warlock said that was your last time stepping foot where I'm at. Anyways, he finds a witch. He tells the witch the problem. He's like, I need you to help me with this, yada yada yada, whatever. The witch is like, all right, cool. And he tells the witch, my wife has basically left me because at this point Laura has been staying with like us. I was so young at this point, but I remember seeing her around a lot, and other churchgoers, like she would hop around. And they decided as a church family, that they were gonna go on a 7-day fasting for her. So basically my mom and a couple of the churchgoers, they locked up the church and they went on a 7-day fasting for her. And while they're fasting for her, the husband's doing what he's doing. The husband tells this witch, like, whatever you do, I can't be around her. So it has to be done without me having to give it to her or put it around her. And this witch is like, if you haven't heard about me, I am a strong witch, da 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 da. I got it. So they're praying for her. This witch is working her magic, doing whatever she does. And all of a sudden, when they're praying for her, Miss Laura just falls. And she falls, and this is the first time that she starts having like a seizure. And she's never had this issue. And they just start praying for her. And they're like, all right, while she's having a seizure, they're like, let's go call, take her to the hospital, not call the ambulance, take her to the hospital. They take her to the hospital, they can't find nothing. When she's out of the hospital, she goes back to the church. She's like, I gotta figure out what's going on. At this point, she knows that her husband, it has something to do with her husband. When they get back to the church, they continue praying. When they continue praying, literally as they're praying, my mom said that there was so much going on in that church. And I was telling my mom, why didn't you ever tell me this story? And my mom was like, girl, I have a lot of stories. But anyways, my mom said when they were praying, that in the middle, like around 2-3 o'clock in the morning, that they heard like footsteps on the roof, and that literally, like, it was like a warfare, a warfare against the children of God and the enemy, and all because they're trying to take this woman's life. Anyways, but having good friends and prayerful friends, my mom and the rest of the pastors did not let this woman go. And literally these spirits were trying to torment her and make her fearful. And eventually they just continued praying, and all that weird scratching, banging, shaking, door rattling, all of that just stopped. And after it stopped, literally when that was done, a prophecy came out. 3 women and men of God told Miss Laura, you need to leave. She's like, you need to leave that man. She's like, because he's going to end up you. They tell her, you don't have much time. They're like, all this stuff that's happening to you is because of him, and he is going to make sure that you are out of here. Basically, they tell her, you need to go to your house, pack whatever you can pack, and get out of the country for a little bit till things settle, till your divorce settled, till you're able to get a restraining order on him. But you need to get out of there. Anyways, they continue their prayer, and while they're praying, my mom said that one of the church ladies wakes up, and she's like, "Y'all, we need to pray because they have sent y'all. When I tell you, witchcraft is so real, and it's annoying that a lot of y'all don't take it serious." One of the church ladies tells her, we need to wake up and pray because we have company. And the same thing happened again. Literally, same thing happened again. This is like their last night, because the next day she's gonna go home, pack up, and dip. The same thing happened. They hear footsteps, and this time my mom said that they were hearing banging on the door, the windows. It was just crazy chaos. Eventually, that all goes away, and Miss Laura goes back to sleep. And when she goes to sleep, she has a dream. In her dream, she sees this woman, and this woman is walking up to her, and she has a shiny object. And as she has a shiny object, she has the HEAD of her husband. She's holding the HEAD in her hand, and she's walking towards Miss Laura, and she's trying to come and get her. But every time she gets closer, it was like there was an invisible glass or wall that was stopping her from trying to hurt her. And so she keeps trying her best to try and get this lady. Then eventually she sees from the ground fire just, I don't know how to explain it to you. Fire comes out of nowhere and burns this lady, and this lady disappears. Anyways, woman the next day goes home, packs up, dips, goes to a country. I'm not going to tell you guys the country, but dips. And when she dips, her husband's looking for her, but can't find her, basically. Husband gets papers saying that she wants a divorce. She basically doesn't want anything. She just wants him to sign this paperwork. The husband tries to go back to that witch that he met, that he gave her a lot of money to help. And would y'all know that witch was gone? Yeah, that witch was gone. He went to see that witch. The neighbor of that witch said that when she died, it was around 3-4 in the morning, and that she woke up screaming and had a heart attack and was gone, basically. Was it a heart attack or a stroke? One or the other, something to do with her heart. But that she woke up, all they heard was a scream, to where people ran to her, and then she just had a heart attack. Anyways, long story short, years, I think it was a year or two later, she goes back to our country. And at this point, the husband has been served. There's a restraining order. That house helper that worked for them went to the court and told him that yes, he did try to put something in her food. And so the restraining order was granted, and he's not allowed to be around her. And, basically, if he's close to her, he's going to prison. And people say that the husband crossed the border, and he lives with his family in that other country. I'm not going to say the country either, but they say that the husband went crazy. He's lost his mind. He roams the street talking to himself and just acting crazy, basically. And before he went crazy, he had told his family member everything that he did. And because people love to gossip, family member told another family member that told another family member, and that's how Laura found out everything that he did. Crazy or not? Moral of the story. Sorry, I just checked the phone. Moral of the story. When you are under protection of God, there is no weapon formed against you that will ever, and I mean ever, prosper. I don't care if there's an army coming after you. If you have God on your side, nothing will work. Nothing will work. And number two, be mindful of the people you have around you, people you claim you love. Because just because you will clap with somebody and love on somebody and support them, they won't show you that same support. And sometimes it might even be your own husband or wife. And that's why it is so important to pray and have a relationship with God. Y'all, God loves y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening. And I am going to bed. And I'll tell you guys another story tomorrow. And I'm going to be working on my YouTube. Bye, y'all. So I took off my eyelashes, but I wanted to add this. Isn't it so funny that in her dream, she saw her husband, and well, she saw that witch, and the witch had the HEAD of her husband, and there was BLOOD on it, and she was carrying it, the head, right? And down the line, well, even still now, the husband has gone mad. She was carrying it. That's why I tell you guys that what happens to you in the physical realm is a manifestation of what's occurred in the spiritual realm. Because the husband played with witchcraft, did what he did to his wife, right? And because these witches and warlock, they don't even know that they're playing with dark forces. That witchcraft ended up going on the husband, and she was carrying his HEAD in the dream. And that same HEAT he was carrying, his own head, is not well today. Yeah. Y'all keep playing with that witchcraft. Keep playing with it. And y'all continue having consequences. And y'all gonna wonder why a lot of y'all kids have issues, why your grandkids have issues. A lot of you guys are paying mistakes, are paying consequences of the witchcraft your grandparents, your great-great-grandparents did. That's why y'all need to break these covenants. I posted a prayer to break covenants. Y'all break these covenants and stop doing witchcraft. Stop it. Stop it. Like I said, I'm working on the YouTube. The reason why I'm gonna do a YouTube is because I'm a little bit more open to say stuff that TikTok won't let me say. Even this story, I had to be very mindful of what I could say because they're very weird about stuff like that. But yeah, consequences. Even as of right now, like the kids don't talk to him, wife doesn't have no contact with him. All they know is that he roams around the streets talking to himself, crazy, like he's lost his mind. And it's so sad because like his family will bring him back in the house and he'll go back outside, sometimes not dressed, no clothes on, just, cuckoo. Yeah. And all because very prideful, his ego. He was living a great life. They had it all. But because he didn't like the fact that people were cheering for his wife, he didn't like the fact that his wife was doing better than he was in life. And he ended up paying the ultimate price. And now Miss Laura is doing better than ever. God has given her double for her trouble because God is in the business of restoring. Yep. Bye, y'all.
Okay, so now that you was able to see that story, let's have the conversation, okay? Like I said, spiritual awareness, spiritual health is super, super important. And I feel like a lot of things would not happen if we were more spiritually aware of things and being spiritually in alignment. And this is coming all from obviously non-judgment because I've been there, done that, okay? That's why I try to help people so they don't have to go through some of the stuff that I've went through, okay? And I feel like if I would have been spiritually aware like I am now, a lot of things just wouldn't have happened. I could have avoided a lot of things, okay? So with this story particularly, the wife, we don't know all the details and everything regarding like when she got married, how he was before she married him, etc. But I guarantee you 9 times out of 10 it was probably some red flags there. And I also guarantee God probably gave her signs to not marry him. I don't know if she even went to God to, before she even married him to ask, should I marry him? And y'all know, before, I have told people before, if you follow me, that before you get married or choose to marry a person, even relationship, I feel like if it's a serious committed relationship, you should go to God. As a woman, I'm going to speak as a woman, when you're looking for your husband, I always feel like you should pray first and ask God to put you in alignment with your husband. Now, that don't mean that you're going to your husband's going to be knocking on your door the next day. There is work that is required for that to happen. If you have trauma that you have not addressed, you need to address that. Sometimes it's father issues, daddy issues, and your daddy don't have to be absent for you to have daddy issues. A lot of people think that, like, oh, well, my dad was in the home. That don't mean that you don't have daddy issues. Some fathers are still absent mentally, emotionally, spiritually in the household that causes daddy issues. Okay. I have a whole playlist on this channel. If you go to my playlist, a whole series on fatherless daughters, breaking that down for both the daughters and the mothers, because it's very important in your love life. For a lot of people, they get affected by these daddy issues. So I go in depth with that in that playlist if you're interested in that. Okay. But there's trauma that you have to address, okay? Because if you don't address that trauma manifests in your relationships, and it also manifests within who you attract in your life, okay? So it's really important that you work on yourself spiritually so you can be in alignment with who you need to be in alignment with. Don't go seek who you want to seek, like, oh girl, he's cute, I like him, and then go to God after he's put you through turmoil. That's where a lot of us, including myself in the past, go wrong, is we will sit here and want somebody so bad, and we get that person, then we pray to God, like, God, please make him right. I married him, please make him right. He doesn't go to church, I pray that he goes to church. No, sis, you were supposed to pray to God before this person. It'd be all kind of red flag signs, all of that, and then once the low vibrations of that man starts to manifest in y'all's relationship, then you want to go to God. We should have went to God first, okay? So with this woman in particular in the story, I don't feel like she probably went to God first to ask for her husband. She probably just, met him, dealt with him, and then of course I'm glad that she still is spiritually healthy to where she prayed. That's what really saved her life. But it could avoid a lot of heartache and turmoil. Let's just imagine that she wasn't spiritually healthy. Then look at where she probably would have ended up, not alive. You know what I mean? So it's important, again, that we always be spiritually aware. Go to God first. Perfect example. Let's look at two different examples here. Cardi B and Sierra. Okay, which outcome do you want? Do you want Sierra's outcome, or do you want Cardi's outcome? Okay, and not to down her, not down and see Cardi, because obviously she has her own stuff that she has to go through. I don't feel like she's a bad person. I feel like she just has some things that she need to address. But I'm just saying, one of them, Cardi, has a second baby daddy. You know what I mean? Well, the first one's her husband, obviously ex-husband, whatever the current legal status of that is. To where now she's about to have her fourth child with a new man. He hasn't showed any form of commitment as far as like getting engaged, married, from our knowledge, public knowledge. And he also has 3 or 4 other kids on the way, and already has like a newborn, and allegedly DL and just all kind of stuff, right? A hot mess. And I really don't think long term that's going to last very well. Honestly, to be honest, I don't even think she really wanted to get pregnant. I just feel like that was something for her to do and cope with. But I don't think that was something that she honestly wanted to do, because it seems like in that interview she had, she didn't really want to say it like that or felt comfortable saying it. But that situation, right? So she'll probably unfortunately manifest another relationship of cheating, low vibrations, low frequency, which I don't hope for her, but it just seems like that's what it is right now, right? And then you have another situation like Sierra. What did she do after Future? She prayed. She talks about this in interviews. She prayed because she said, obviously there's something that I'm attracting, you know what I mean, that I need to attract better. This is not what I want. There's something I need to do. I need to do better. So she prayed and asked for a husband, and then she was blessed with Wrestle. No matter how people feel about CRR Wrestle, her outcome was what she wanted, and she still had a blessed outcome of a loving husband. Again, no matter how anybody feel about Wrestle, he a good husband. Obviously, from what we can see, seems to be a good husband, good family man. He takes his daughter on daddy-daughter dates. Like, he loves his stepchild. Clearly that his stepchild loves him as well. You know what I mean? Clearly is what it seems like. When you watch them interact on videos and stuff like that, it seems like genuine love to me. You know what I mean? Which is what a mother a single mother could only wish and hope for, bringing another man into the picture. Okay. And the difference is there. One of them prayed and went to God for their husband. One of them didn't for like their next situation. Excuse me. Sorry. And again, this is coming with no judgment because I've been there. Y'all who follow me know I've been there. My divorce story is on this same channel. You just got to scroll or type in Zena Sessions divorce. And then on my personal channel, I have life after divorce. And then I also have on there how I manifested my fiance, to where I went to God first and had a way better outcome. I'm like, damn, this is the man that God wanted for me this whole time. I should have just waited instead of went to what I wanted, originally without God. You know what I mean? So that's coming from no judgment there. So with that being said, always go to God first before your husband. You don't know what that person is going through. You don't even know if it's a person. It could be a whole demon that is attracted to you, and then as soon as they get you where they want to, the real them comes out. That's how narcissists act. As soon as they get you where they want you, love bomb and all of that, they true colors start to show once you get attachment there, once they form that attachment with you. Okay. So be careful and be spiritually aware, because I do feel like that situation could have been avoided if she went to God first for her husband, because that was not a godly man, clearly, or he wouldn't have those actions within him. So there was somebody who I'm pretty sure who God really had picture perfect for her if she would have went to him first. That's just my opinion. Again, I don't know how they met, but that's just my opinion when it comes to that. But I'm so glad that she had not only herself, but a whole covenant of like people praying for her, spiritually aligned with her to get her out of that situation. Sometimes things happen, like for example, her house burning down, and you don't even understand why things happen, and you don't understand God just saved you. So keep that in mind next time you driving and your tire pop or you feel like everything's going wrong. Keep in mind that you might be being saved from something. Maybe your tire popped because you was going to get into a wreck 10 minutes later. You just never know. So when things go unexpected for me, I might get upset a little bit at first, but then I thank God, like, you know what? This is happening for a reason. Let me be cool. Let me be cool. It's not my timing. It's God's timing. Remember that. So let me know what y'all think about this story. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I hope that this video was insightful. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see you on the next one.